me tell my entire hometown city of Pueblo, Colorado, how the Cannon game is ruined officially by that scuffle that happened with a minute left in the first half of the game. Let me just give you all a little history about the Cannon game itself and the stadium itself. Cannon game started back in 1976. Both schools were built in 1959. And ever since then, there's truly been a built-in rivalry between these two schools. I mean, you couldn't walk down the street without seeing someone from South and a fight ain't breaking out. I mean, these schools don't like each other. And to be quite honest, South has had the better of East in football for the better part of 5 decades. East won the Cannon back a few times here and there, but when you think of the Cannon, you think of South, and it always booming black. I'm a graduate of East 2018, so I'm an East Eagle. It's in my blood for sure. But to talk about the stadium now, it is Pueblo's Super Bowl stadium. It is SoFi Stadium. It is Allegiant Stadium. It has college atmospheres, probably more than CSU Pueblo does. When you think of Dutch Clark, you think of the Bell game, you think of the Cannon game, and how basically it is sold out every year these games happen. It is kind of standing room only. It's ranging into the thousands whenever those two games happen. Other games come through here, it's not as packed as those two games. You could have a few hundred people, but no. The Bell game and Cannon game are the two biggest spectacles in our Pueblo's history. As a homeless guy's yelling at somebody over there, I better get out of here. But nonetheless, guys, you guys get the atmospheric magnitude that this weight holds. And let's dive right into the fight at what happened. Because yeah, the rich history between these two schools is definitely not to be messed with. It is prideful, it is perfect. Back in the studio to talk about the fight itself. Now, I wasn't there live for personal reasons, but I know the atmosphere was definitely palpable in the sense that the tension was so thick you could almost cut it with a knife. Again, to explain the true rivalry that these two teams had, I don't have enough time to do. But to sum it up, when I was in high school, we had a black car with a horseshoe painted on all 4 doors, and we got a sledgehammer. You could say it was Thor's hammer, and we completely beat the shit out of that black car with the horseshoes on it. So these teams don't need any motivation to not like each other, and they don't need any more motivation to want to beat each other on the football field. I was watching the game via Pueblo D60 School's live stream that they had, which is set up pretty brilliantly. The commentators could be better. Holla at your boy if you want some better commentating in the booth. That's not the here nor there. But anyway, the fight happened. 101 left to go. 23-0, second quarter. South is 0-4. East is 4-1. So that should already, there's no surprise as to how the game is going at this point. So number 23 for East, I don't really know their names. I know 23 is Gabe Garcia. I looked that up. But I don't know who number 10 is. So I'm going to show the fight right here, right now. Go. So right here, number 10 has the ball running. You could call it a late hit, out of bounds, unnecessary roughness, whatever. Number 23 pushes him. Number 10 starts it with the slap. A push to the face, you could say. And a player from East hits the ground, it looks like. And I don't know if it was just my eyes or what, but I see some South player stomping the East player or kicking him. But that's just me. The fight kind of gets broken up, but then number 23, Gabe Garcia, comes back into the picture and kind of reignites the fight by saying something, pointing gun signs. Coaches are trying to get into it. There's Valdez. There's Josh Tejas. And there's pushing, there's shoving. East players are pushing South players. And, you know, it's truly something that honestly no one expected to happen. And South players, you can see there trying to go at it. And the East coach, I don't know who he is. You can see him right there in the corner. I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's like a special teams coach or what, but he is like yelling at somebody. It's unclear what he was yelling at. And it was just like weird because he was instigating it even more. It seems like East was instigating it more than South, but albeit South kind of started this.
And you can make the true argument that in the grand scheme of things, East started this whole thing. So honestly, this whole game was truly marred by what happened, obviously. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, there are rumors that a coach hit a player. That's just baloney. That's just people trying to stir the pot. And who doesn't in the United States of America? Who doesn't stir the pot when it comes to this? And I just want to show the key moment where the refs are running off very cowardly. I mean, just look, again, going back to how big of this game it is, look how big the stadium is. Look how packed it is. And the refs running off like cowards. I mean, man, that's pretty sad. That's pretty just wow. They threw flags. They ejected number 23. And I don't know who decided to call the game. I don't know if it was Clemente or Miss Nail. My first reaction when I saw that happen, I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Then when I heard the commentators potentially say that they were going to call the game, I thought this is bad. Pueblo is going to riot. That's just all I thought of. Especially the parents of the cheerleaders, the dancers from both schools. And I just felt that this situation was truly poorly handled. And the rumors of punches being thrown, there were a couple, none by coaches. Again, that's just more people trying to stir the pot. More people trying to say things that aren't even true. I think that, again, this situation was handled very poorly. And whoever's decision it was to call the game, I don't think it was the right one. And sure, it's Pueblo. Sure, it has the highest crime rate in the entire state of Colorado. I get that. But imagine if the pros did it. If a pro game got called because of a fight. Would you even call that a fight? I call it more of a scuffle, more pushing, more shoving. It wasn't a full-on fight where someone had someone on the ground and they were truly beating the shit out of that individual. No. This was truly a scuffle at the least. A scuffle. Clemente seems like the type that would try and shyster his way into having something going right in East's favor. Same with Miss Nail. I think her name is Ellie Nail. Whatever. People at East know her. She seems like the same type of person that would truly try and weasel a certain general direction toward East's favor. I know East was up 23-0. I get all that. No one could take that away. There was a minute left before half. Had they just called it halftime right there, have both teams cool off, the referees go in, give each team a very stern warning that even if a cuss word is said in either direction, the game's over. That's what should have happened. But instead it was handled like a YMCA type situation. A hugs, not hits type of mindset. And that just rubbed me the wrong way. That just truly rubbed me the wrong way. Again, imagine if they called a pro game or even a college game of a certain magnitude like that. People would riot more than what they rioted here in Pueblo. People are rioting via social media. There was nothing harmful that was done after this game, which I thought would happen. Nothing harmful was done. But imagine that. Something at the pro level being called. We're all going to come to the same conclusion that was just bullshit. And it shouldn't have happened. Mike Evans completely decked Marshawn Lattimore, and that game still went on. And another thing I was thinking of after the fight was, okay, this could be a true turning point for South. This could be a true turning point for the game for either team. It could work in South's favor, and they could come back, make it a game, or East could just pummel them into the ground more than they already were. And that didn't happen. We weren't given that opportunity because the refs ran off extremely cowardly with their tails tucked in between their legs. I guess the part that bothers me about this entire situation, and again, I'm an East graduate. I bleed gold and black. No one could take that away from me. And I always loved that high school, and I wish they weren't knocking it down and building a new one. But I am really irked at the fact that East is awarded the Cannon. I am irked at the fact that the entire East Side community calls this a win. Sure, you were up 23-0 on the scoreboard. No one could take that away. It's a fact. It's a fact. But I thought the game ended when there was triple zeros on the clock in the fourth quarter. Not with 101 on the clock in the second quarter. This isn't college basketball where they play in halves. This is football. 4 quarters. Why does the game end there? Me as an athlete and me as a competitor, I personally would not take that as a win. I just wouldn't. It'd be like, no one has the same mindset that I do or some other people do. My mindset would be, the job's not done. We didn't finish that game. We were smacking them, but I want to smack them even more. Scores 23-0. I want to make it 33-0, 43-0, 53-0. I want to beat them so bad that those kids will be so embarrassed to show their faces anywhere in Pueblo for the next month. No one has that mindset. No one sees it that way. And this truly is mind-boggling. But again, with that rivalry and with that magnitude, you're going to take what you can get. And I understand that. I had a problem with Coach Valdez. And I have a problem with a lot of coaches from East, particularly the basketball coaches. That's a different story for a different day, though. I have a problem with how he handled the game, with how he handled it the day after. He went on social media, made a post saying certain specific things that I just couldn't find agreeable, that I couldn't find applicable to the situation where you could count this game as a win. His post went exactly like this. What are they going to say now? We said what we were going to do and we did it. We said exactly what they, in all caps, were going to do, and they did exactly that. My guys balled hard. My guys handled themselves with class. My guys won the Cannon and the battle for Pueblo, in all caps. Okay. To take away one thing from that post was my guys handled themselves with class. Why did your guys keep instigating it? Why was number 23 throwing up gun signs? Why was a coach trying to go after, trying to make himself like this big tough guy, shouting whatever he was shouting? That's class. It was almost this situation of South was meeting East with fire. That's all it was. Button heads, 2 Rams, button heads. No one was helping. And I'm not saying South is completely in the right. South, they, like I said, they kind of started this too. They did start it. Number 10 didn't have to push number 23 in the face. He could have just walked away. You could say that South was upset. They were getting their asses kicked that bad. And they had to start something to truly mar the game. I'm not saying either team is in the right. But what he's saying not only rubbed me the wrong way, but it's just not true. I shared it. First, I laughed at the post. Because you know how you could laugh via reactions. I laughed at the post. I shared it saying, wow, coach. ... Real classy. I was expecting backlash for sure. Because there were a lot of people gassing him up, gassing his ego up. Really supporting him, saying that, you know, they won the game. Cannon booms gold. I just refuse to be a part of that sheep mentality where the truth is out there. and these sheeps are hurtling in this direction, and they have to say things that are totally not even true. I like to be different, but I like to be truthful, and that's all I was being. I'm going to go get a burrito with my family, and I get a text from Coach V saying, "What are you laughing at?" And I'm like, oh, someone's mad. Someone's mad. And I'm not one to share DMs. Let me just paraphrase a little bit of what was said. I just said, I'm laughing at the fact you're in my DMs trying to defend yourself when, especially knowing I'm not one of the many that is gassing up your ego. Okay. He comes back by saying, the main thing I took away from what he said was, no ego. I'm doing this for the kids and the community. If you're doing it for the kids and the community, then what the fuck are you doing posting that? If your guy's bald hard, why is your Facebook post pictures of just yourself? Sure, you got the student body right behind you and you got two guys that probably don't even play. Why not post a picture of your team, the entire team, if you're in it for the kids? Said I took the time to laugh at something you've been working on since the spring. You know what? I'm going to have to stop you right there, because try working for something that you've worked for your whole life and having it taken away from you. He laughed at that. So again, I just refuse to have that sheep mentality. And it's just time people really know the truth. And I feel like that's what a lot of people ain't telling him, is the truth. And it just sucks. And I just refuse to be a part of the groups that won't see what truly happened and what this guy truly is and what he truly stands for. And he's just the tip of the iceberg. My final thoughts on what happened and is what is going to happen is nothing. I don't think anything's going to happen. Now, CHSAA rules do state that if a player gets ejected, he or she shall not compete in the next following game. East has a bye week this week. They have their next game against Sand Creek next Friday night. 23 got ejected from the game. Who knows if they're actually going to follow through with that rule? Who knows if there's going to be any more suspensions given out for the South players, for number 10? Who knows if there's going to be a suspension for number 57 who pushed a South player? And one thing I forgot to mention in the fight, if you go back and watch the video, number 23 just wasn't stopping. He went and tried tackling number 80 for South because number 80 was moving towards another player at East in their general direction, and number 80 and number 23 tried to go and tackle him, was unsuccessful at it. Again, the rule states you're supposed to be suspended for one game. I don't even think that's going to happen. I don't think anything is going to happen. I don't think he should get the cannon. South definitely doesn't deserve to get the cannon. This just must be the old school mentality I have, but they should just redo the whole freaking game. What's one thing I know they're definitely not going to do is they're not going to put the cannon as vacant. East will definitely keep it, but they probably won't play for it until next year. Too bad no one at D60, no one at CHSAA has the gall to make this game happen again and make both sides truly earn it this time. We're going to have to wait a whole year. Too bad they don't have the gall to truly take the cannon away as a lesson that we're not going to condone this behavior. We're not going to condone these type of fiascos, these type of brawls, melees, scuffles. We're not going to condone that. So the punishment and the message we're going to be sending, not only to these two schools, but to the rest of Colorado, is that no one gets the ultimate prize, and that's the cannon. Will they do that? Fuck no. Fuck no. But they should. Every time something like this happens in Pueblo, or even in Colorado for that matter, and when we think there's going to be harsh repercussions, nothing.